What's going on, everyone? Just figured I'd do a little video highlighting some replays I have here of my Dark Quickdraw deck. Obviously, I featured a sort of rough draft of this like a week ago on the channel or something, but I've been grinding with it and sort of refining it, and obviously there's a big difference between a deck that I threw together in like 10 minutes for a video and a deck that actually put serious time and effort into optimizing. I'm not sure the list that I have now is completely perfect, but I feel like it's almost there, and it's definitely pretty good. I'm definitely happy with how it's turned out so far. So I figured I'd show off. I've been going on a complete tear with the latest list, just against like DB randos and whatnot. But I won like 15 matches straight or something. So once it gets to that point, even against DB randos, you got to be feeling pretty good. So I figured I'd show off a couple of my replays that I thought were, all right. Obviously, there's a lot of terrible, unwatchable crap when you're playing against DB randos. So I just picked out a few that I thought were pretty good. Starting off with this one, this is against, I think, another quick draw player. So this should be an interesting sort of mirror match. Game one, my hand is not that good. This is a pretty mid hand. Fortunately, I'm going first, but my opponent opens like the nuts as well with the Lone Fire Quick Draw Dandy, and I just have nothing for it. So I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be kind of awkward to play my way out of this. So in this situation, the Quick Draw starting a chain in hand is actually super relevant because I'm able to respond with Book of Moon because I figure he'll pitch Dandy, and that puts the Titanial face down, so I can like Caius it next turn. Obviously, he makes the correct play playing around Raikou here, or just playing around, just being careful because of his Titanial being flipped face down, and doesn't want to get his Drill Warrior messed up by anything like DD Warrior Lady or whatever. So it was definitely right of him not to attack the set monster, even though in this situation it would have been better if he had attacked the set monster, because then I would have been in a seriously bad spot, being unable to out this Titanial. So because of that, I am able to out the Titanial, but I'm still in a really rough position here. He actually has another Quick Draw Dandy, which he goes for here. He just goes Turbo Warrior, which is nice. I'm going to be able to steal this with Tragodia, so this actually turned out really good for me. I think he could have Caiused this in main 2, actually. Yeah, he maybe should have just Caiused my Trag in main 2, now that I think about it. I would have pretty much lost from that point. But he decides to banish Drill Warrior and go for Avarice instead, which, I mean, maybe it's not entirely wrong. It's a greedier play, though. So I'm going to steal it, obviously. I stack for Plague, just figure I'm going to make an 8. I ultimately decide to make Dark End and then just sit here. I think I probably should have kept the Decree in hand instead of keeping this, because the chance of him getting a 4th card in hand is pretty low. And he does draw a Trap, which if it had been Mirror Force, I would have pretty much lost next turn. So I probably should have kept Decree, because as you can see, I think this next turn he actually does draw Mirror Force. So if that had happened one turn sooner, I'd have just immediately lost the game. But anyway, he's just a looping Drill Warrior, just respecting the back row, which is fine. Because he doesn't really have much else going on, so if there's a Battle Trap, he's in serious trouble. But I flip up the Decree, so he's now poking in. Here, I'm like, I think I can randomly go for a game here, because the only way he lives is Tragodia. But he does have Tragodia, so it's a little bit rough for me. Yeah, he's gonna survive here. Unfortunately, I could have definitely killed him through like Fader. He would have survived. Book of Moon, he would have survived, but Tragodia is gonna keep him alive, and then I'm just gonna die this turn because obviously he can summon Caius. So, a little bit of a rough break there for me in a lot of ways, but I think I played it as well as I could have. So it is what it is. Game number 2. I'm going to start. My hand is solid. I go for the Allure. I just get rid of Armonite because the Greffer is so much better here with the like multiple darks I want to pitch. He goes for Trooper, which is kind of rough. It trades really well here. I figure I almost have to just like Caius this thing and hope it's not Torrential. I would have been super punished by Torrential there, for sure. So I'm just hitting in. I probably shouldn't have revived this Eater because turned off my set Goat. Maybe I just shouldn't have set Goat to begin with, because I feel like there was no way to do anything with it here, until my field's empty. Then I could have summoned a Cyber Valley, but can't do that now. I get Dust Shooted. He takes Tragodia. He maybe should have just taken Valley. I don't know. It's like a hard choice in this situation because my board's clogged, but he goes for Lone Fire, sets Hamster. Here I unclog my board, and I almost like accidentally normal summon a second time, which would have been not good. So I flip it up, it's Hamster. Would have preferred Raikou, of course, but it's still good to get the Hamster out of the way. He's going to clear my stuff, but I can drop Plasma here. I decide to banish the Level Eater because you can't tribute it for Plasma since it's not tribute summon. So we get some draw twos. We find Dad, which is live, and then drop Plasma. So this is just, I think this is lethal here. So very, very powerful turn there by me, dropping the two like signature boss monsters of the deck. We're going to get Dust Shooted again. Did we get the Dust Shooted every game? I don't remember if we got Dust Shooted game 1. So his hand's kind of awkward and my hand's kind of awkward in game number 3. I have a lot of ways to out this Cyber Dragon, but I couldn't figure out what the best one was. I decide to just poke with Mally and then go off into Fortress, eat a Bottomless. That went about as well as it could have. I traded with a back row and got rid of 2 of his monsters with 2 cards, so that's a +1. He hits him with a side row, so I'm getting kind of low here. I don't play a second Fortress, so I just decide to go Brain. I think I Brain Caius. Do I Caius this? No, it just eats a D Prison. Okay. Maybe should have just set that card Trooper. I don't know. We're not getting any good mills. Don't we have Dandies in deck? We do. We have 2 Dandies in deck, and we're halfway through. Okay, so I go for the Cyber Valley. I find the Book of Moon. So I'm a little scared here. If he has some kind of push, he could maybe kill me, but he doesn't. So just in case I go for Armonite, send Gardna. I held it because if he had Gores in main 2, I could have done something to make Plasma or drop Caius or something. So that's why I waited on normal summoning. But he just scoops here because his hand kind of sucks. So lucky break for me in game number 3. All right, match number 2. We're up against, I think this was the Gravekeeper game. Wait, I should have show both on. Okay. Yeah, this should be a really unfavorable matchup on paper. He's main decking Skill Drain too, which makes it even more annoying, to be honest. Fortunately, I opened up my Decree. I think I went with Prodigy Dasher turn 1. Yeah, that's a pretty cool play. I like Prodigy in this build a lot. I feel like it does a lot of things in terms of you've got the Mally and the Dasher to go with it. You've got the Caiuses, so it's just a random one-off. It's another Dark. You can pitch it for Greffer. You can use it for Allure. Here I go for the Brain Valley play with the Decree to stop the Skill Drain, so very good for me. And I'm definitely comfortable not drawing tons of monsters because I know that the Royal Tribute is probably incoming. He never used it this game, which maybe he should have because there's plenty of scenarios where I would have had a handful of monsters and maybe just lost the duel, but it was not the case. Here we go for the Goats. Just want to buy time so I can draw something useful. I draw Stratos. I consider de-drawing, but then I realize I can just win the game here because Necro Valley doesn't stop Plague from moving itself in Edison format, so we can just make a Goyo and hit for over 5,000. So we're going to win game number 1. Game number 2, I think I sided a whole ton. As you can see, I'm siding this plant package right now. I'll probably showcase the whole deck list, or at least the main deck, on the channel at some point later. Maybe I'll do an IRL deck profile because I really like this deck. But yeah, I boarded into a ton of stuff because obviously this is some weird stun deck, so you gotta take out all the stuff that gets too hard countered. I didn't have any of my stuff that gets countered by Necro Valley. Tried to minimize the extent to which I was countered by Skill Drain and bring in as much removal as I can. So that was the plan. Here I considered setting both books because I don't really think he wants to storm his own Necro Valley, but I decided I was in such a winning position that there was no reason to commit both my pieces of disruption. Here, I could have maybe just attacked with both because I have the books. But I just hit with Sidra, and he eats a Deep Prison. I'm whatever, Here we hit with Titanium. He doesn't have anything to stop it, so we're all good. He goes Royal Tribute. Okay, he goes Torrential into Royal Tribute. That Torrential kind of, but it's way better that he had to do it on his turn. So we're totally fine with that. He draws Road. He's just drawing a lot of dead back row. Shit like this is why I don't play trap decks. You will lose so many games just to drawing the wrong traps. It's just a random piece of variance that you've added to your game plan. But anyway, I don't need to get into a whole gripe about that. Yeah, look at all this dark bribe, 3 bribes, and oppression. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't drawing anything useful for like 4 turns or something. That's actually insane. But we kind of just stomped the Gravekeeper matchup, which is weird because this should be like a terrible matchup on paper if you really think about it. But Gravekeeper's, I mean, maybe this was a suboptimal build. I don't know. You probably shouldn't be on 3 Dark Bribes. You should be on Roads, and that's it, I think. But man, we're analyzing this too much. Let's just jump into the next replay. So this is the last one. I think we're up against Bugs, right? Yeah, this is probably the most jank thing I've played against, honestly. But it was a full match that was like whatever, so I decided to include it on the end. We have a Dust Shoot. Here I also could have gone 1-for-1 Cyber Valley. I just decided to hold it. I don't know why I did that. I guess I was being greedy. Anyway, we just take these Bugs are like all pretty bad, so I don't know which one to take with Dust Shoot. We go for the Storm. We go for the... Do I Valley now? No, wait, I Valley with one of my tokens. Okay. I'm hoping I can draw a way to convert the Malicious, which I do. So we're going to go for Dark End. The only issue here is that we know there's a Mirror Force, and we're just going to have to eat that at some point, so that kind of sucks. But there was no other way to stop like the Congo line of recruiters, so we just had to go Dark End. I decided to try and just force the Mirror Force right away, which I succeed in doing. Here, I feel safe. I can just book Dark End and pretty much win the game, so yeah, we're fine there. Unfortunately for me, a skill drain here, but I just hard drew one of my Destiny heroes, so it's like whatever. We need an out to skill drain in this situation. I maybe shouldn't have booked that, because he just gets a Verdant Search anyway, but we draw the Royal Decree, which is really nice. So he goes as Tekapede hits, which is like whatever. I'm going to go for Cyber Valley, yoink the one that I think is a recruiter, then obviously flip the Decree to get rid of the skill drain. Weird number of skill drain games in the mix here, honestly. So I made a mistake here. I should have milled the card first, I think, here in this situation, because there's piercings, so the Tekapede will make you mill one. But for some reason I Sangan searched first. Because obviously it triggers before Sangan goes to grave. So they should just be separate chain links, different stages of the whatever. You know, it's no big deal. I mean, honestly, it would have been beneficial for me to have the Dandy in deck before I milled. But we just drop Dad and like win the game here or something. I think we go Quickdraw Dandy. There must be a line to lethal. He's only on 7,000. Yeah, we go Nitro Warrior, pump up our guy by 1k, pop it. Yeah, that's like super game over. Okay, yeah. So those were the replays. Deck profile maybe incoming at some point, maybe in paper. Who knows? It'll be neat. Hope you guys enjoyed the replays. I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe. Peace out.